the one that comes up to me immediately as our race begins is Planet Aquanet, which is from Bomberman 64, the second act. One of my favorites.
That's an excellent choice. For my part, it's got to be one of the Mega Man X ones, Storm Eagle or Armored Armadillo. And yet, I wait for the day that they make Spark Mandrill into the sound font and get it imported in. That will be a blessed day in e-gaming history.
So yeah, we got Kammesennin and Charlieboy part 2 in our Buster Only War. And we got Charlieboy going to Bubble Man and Kammesennin going to Quick Man. Once again, Quick Man stage being one of our go-to stages, being very quick to deal with, get a free E-Tank. So Kammesennin finding himself a good start. Bubble Man stage, thanks to this being zipless, is a little bit more daunting since you got to do the walk of shame as a requirement, and you're dealing with all the nonsense that's in it, like our bats or our dollar store Metroids. So Charlieboy is gonna be huffing it with a little more extra effort compared to what it would be if we would have allowed zips.
Yep, and even a little bit more effort than it would have been last seed, as those clearance rack Metroids have a bit more health, and Charlieboy got no super missiles.
Yep, I was expecting it. Seeing the Shotman in Bubble Man stage, you were expecting the Shotman to be at that one particular spot where you can easily get clipped down and sent to your pitfall death. But Charlieboy paused buffering and was able to get safely and go into Bubble Room where Heatman awaits, while Kammesennin easily destroys a Buster Soft Weak Flash.
Yep, no muss, no fuss. He's got stuff to do. On to Bubble Man stage for Kammesennin.
I'm not gonna say a single word about the song that is playing right now. I'm not. Chungus?
Sorry, weirdly I can't hear it. So I guess I won't say anything about it either.
But anyway, it was a very slow, not Buster Soft Weak heat on Charlieboy's end, so it was a very, very slow fight, but he was able to get through it safely, and now he goes to Metal Man stage. Meanwhile, Kammesennin pretty much following Charlieboy's footsteps, going to Bubble Man stage next, where we found some Buster Immune Shrimp.
Yep, wasn't expecting the upgraded exoskeleton there. That's going to be rough if any more of them show up.
So we got our monkeys, not of the space flying variety in this area, so just literally taking a massive beating, going down with the 4 pips of energy left. Luckily, the checkpoint is not too far away, so Charlieboy is able to survive to get to that point. But we're going to see what Charlieboy does up to this point, if he decides to keep going or takes a tactical death for full energy.
Yeah, if you're going to die, this is a good place to do it. And with Buster Immune Shrimp there, he takes a safety sludge instead. Wow.
Kame's seeing the bad news about the Chopman in that dangerous area, decides to double back and pause buffer to safety. He's about to face his Heatman fight, while the seafood buffet, or rather the seafood factory rather, is giving Charlieboy a little bit of fits.
And this could really give him a run for his money here across this gap. Especially if that's a shrimp battery right there that he's standing on. This could get really rough really fast.
Charlieboy actually making a heads-up play, just making sure that the crabs are right in position, so he hopefully doesn't have to worry about one sniping him as he was making a jump. So he's able to get to his metal door, and we're about to see what Robot Master's in Metal Room, as Kammesennin is taking on a very slow burn heat, and we find a vanilla metal in Metal Room.
I'm still fairly confident this thing is randomized.
Oh yeah, it is. It's just sometimes the game just don't want to prove it.
Charlieboy getting a little low on health here, and he ate his E-Tank at the checkpoint, so... Man. Mega Man's got 1 hit point that matters and 27 that don't, and Charlieboy was down to the 1.
Fortunately, the metal blades able to usually deals 3 points of damage compared to the body hit that would have done 4. So if he had to take a hit, it definitely had to be a metal hit. But both our runners, with their Robot Masters down, both of them are going to flash. So we can see that Kammesennin, as far as distance goes, has a slight advantage. But we have quite a number of Robot Masters to go, especially with no state boss names in our stage select. So we still have no idea what the remaining stages are, well, where they are. So a surprise heat and a surprise crash is still waiting.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Both runners doing well to spot that Metal Crusher before it lands on them.
Kammesennin decided to take the safety health. Very wise decision. You have no idea what's coming up ahead of them, especially with a Robot Master in the wings, especially in Flashman's room where it's very uneven. One of the worst places to have a Robot Master fight of any kind. So getting the health, getting the E-Tank, Charlieboy not going to be able to get his. Taking a very awkward hit from a prop top and just falls in. Charlieboy is in a much more dire situation as far as E-Tank number goes compared to Kame.
Yeah, this is a reversal from the last seed where Charlieboy got that E-Tank and Kammesennin didn't. We'll see how that plays out later on.
Charlieboy notices Bubbleman. He's gonna try to manipulate Bubbleman in such a way that Bubbleman will never move. In this case, Proto Man, as we get Saint kills, as long as the player character is not horizontally adjacent to Bubbleman, he will never move. So very good fight on Charlieboy's end as he gets the surprise Heatman that we were dreading.
That is much easier to do with something like Leaf Shield or even Metal Blade, something with a larger hitbox. So extremely well done by Charlieboy making it through there without moving Bubbleman.
Kammesennin going to familiar territory as we saw Charlieboy go here. He's also taken a bit of a beating from our monkeys. Gotta hope for a health drop or a situation where he doesn't. Very lucky drop on Kammesennin, and he should be safe to go for the rest of the stage, at least for his half. Meanwhile, we seen Charlieboy dealing with these Lacphibians and some bats, which ironically is actually one of the tamer enemy sets for Heatman early on, but we still got the halfway point. And let's see our preview of said second half. We got Lightning Lords. So one of the things that you're going to notice that there are going to be some enemies that will kind of quote-unquote preview what's coming up in store. In this case, we see Lightning Lords in the single Yoku block room before this area. So you're gonna, thanks to that, Charlieboy does know that there were some Lightning Lords that were gonna be in this stretch.
Yep, fairly tame enemy to get in this area, although I do know a guy who took a tragic death from a Lightning Lord sniper shot in this very location, so you still gotta kind of keep an eye out.
Shoutouts to SpeedGaming2 with the rate of 58. Welcome to the Mega Man 2 Randomizer. This is your boy LV Creed, 2% Chungus, with me on co-commentary and on tracking, doing some legendary double duty work, as we see Kammesennin see his vanilla Metal Man, while Charlieboy, thanks to this being a Buster-only agreement match, doing the Yoku blocks as intended. Well, since he had no item 2 in his arsenal, he was going to do it anyway.
Something subtle to watch for there, too, is you may have noticed that Charlieboy was landing on the left side of the Yoku blocks across the pit. I believe I saw Kammesennin landing more toward the right, which is a slight but over 15 or 20 jump significant difference in how quickly the Yoku blocks spawn and time saved.
We got ourselves once again a slightly down crash on Heatman's room. Not only that, he was also Buster Soft weak. So it was a very fast fight on Charlieboy's end. Meanwhile, we got Kammesennin going to Woodman stage, Charlieboy going to familiar territory and Quickman stage. So we're going to take a little bit of a focus on Woodman stage. Kammesennin this time not getting them caught in habit and jumping where a minor zip would have occurred. So Kammesennin keeping himself in check this time around.
Yep, and it looked like the initial approach to the Woodman stage was a lot tamer than last time, too. Kammesennin coming through with near full health to the hot dogs.
All right, so we're going to the treehouse, the top of the treehouse for Kammesennin. We're going to see who's guarding the territory there. And once again, the aquatic life is abundant in the top of the trees.
This could get nasty, and that's a lot of infinitely spawning bad guys to knock you off the platform.
Of course, Kammesennin was able to handle it expertly, and now he's about to go down the bottom of the treehouse, hopefully to some the blocky being a little bit durable. Probably gonna have to take the damage. And take
catches on the way up.
Yo, hopefully the final stretch of what won't be as significantly daunting, because at this point, taking a death here is gonna be very tragic.
Very well done against that Met to get that health drop. Charlieboy coming up on the end of the quick man stage.
Where we should be seeing... Dang, I already forgot. No, yeah, I did forget. It was Flash here, and it should be a very easy Flash as well. Him being Soft Buster Week and this going on. So yeah, but very quick fight for... Oh, Woodman with one of the sneakiest AI traits with the false start leaf shield. But we have some very slow falling leaves, allowing Kammesennin to just continuously wail on them. One of the things about Woodman's AI is that the leaf shield never forms until all the leaves fall. So slow falling leaves can actually be quite beneficial in that fight.
Both runners getting some extremely bad news about the elevator rooms coming up shortly.
Yeah, the first screen of Crash usually indicates what's going to be in the rooms that Charlieboy is in right now. So Charlieboy and Kammesennin are probably gonna opt to use weapons here, because most of the time, Buster Only in this situation, we're gonna put it bluntly, it sucks.
Sometimes the simplest way to put it is also the most elegant, and that's exactly how I'd put it.
Charlieboy opted to use Metal Blades in order to make sure that the shrimp don't snipe him. Meanwhile,
Kammesennin fortunate to find out that Flash isn't vanilla and has a few charges to use.
But
Not sure what his plan was there.
Yeah, I think I know what Kamme's trying to do. One of the things, there is a bit of RNG in the shrimp rooms, in that you can manipulate a shrimp to actually fly up, and that may give enough room for Kammesennin to actually climb up and sneak through.
But there we see the downfall of that, is if it doesn't work, you've burned 2 or 3 laps on the elevator for no gain. Charlieboy now significantly ahead and making it to the checkpoint.
So we're going to see what's coming up in our crash climb just a little bit. There are still quite a number of things that could get our runners thanks to this Buster Only scenario, such as this screen here. Hopefully there wasn't a frog here. Nope. There can be frogs that can block your way on this particular screen here, which probably will require an item use as well. Fortunately, there was no frog there. But the big meat of the matter is this final crash climb. Well, there's a frog here.
Yep, and Charlieboy wisely going up the left ladder and then transferring to deal with it.
Unfortunately, thanks to that, the health that probably could have helped Charlie out a little bit wound up fading away. So he's going to have to deal with this little bit of health before going to the crash door. Hopefully the final sets of enemies that are along the way won't be highly damaging.
In before Joe Armor.
Charlieboy pulling the Kame. Charlieboy opting to get the health and winds up getting popped by a shot, man.
Sometimes it's even funnier when the caster is wrong.
Very, very rude placement for what Charlieboy was thinking of what was going to happen. Meanwhile, Kammesennin being a little bit stubborn here. Honestly, he should have done what Charlieboy has done. He should have went to the left side and then sniped the frog from there.
Yeah, it
Kind
looked like he
of,
was just trying to power up that left ladder and get all the health that he just lost to the frogs.
yeah, kind of uncharacteristic for Kame. You would think he would know about this. But
Makes it up, though.
yeah, regardless of the situation, we have Charlie Boy being Crashman stays a whole, and now he's going to Woodman, which we saw before. We're gonna see what Kammesennin does. He actually opts to go for the further right ladder, ignoring the life, and he's gonna go through our Robot Master that's in Crash.
Which I believe was a Buster susceptible quick, if memory serves. Which it really does.
There's the quick that you were mentioning, and there's the Buster soft weakness that you were mentioning. So you were 100% correct. But say Kame needs to put up that health. So yep, there's the E-Tank, and there's the finish. Why should he doing so? He could not take one hit from Quickman or Boomerang.
Charlieboy threw the hot dogs and just about to find out about the treehouse. This could make a significant difference in the race if Charlieboy gets a bad lie on this.
Meanwhile, we're about to get a new stage for Kammesennin. This is our first sighting of error. Charlieboy almost making the critical error that you just mentioned, Chungus. Meanwhile, Kammesennin makes the error instead.
Yeah, those Joe armies in air can be really rough to deal with. Charlieboy a bit more health coming down this ladder than Kame had. He might be doing alright through here.
Yeah, there were some pretty damaging enemies that were on these separate screens. Thanks to a little bit better health management, Charlieboy is able to take care of the situation pretty smoothly, and he's on his way to his wood boss room.
Some excellent marksmanship from Kammesennin, taking out the armors for the Joes and causing them to drop into the hole rather than having to fight them again.
And getting a couple of E-Tanks to nullify that loss of life and getting a little bit of interest. Charlieboy seeing the good news about Woodman, Buster's susceptible, slow falling leaves with hesitates and slows down the leaf shield reactivation. And right now we got Kammesennin still a Robot Master down apparently. Compared to Charlieboy, whose Airman should be his last Robot Master.
Yeah, I believe so. This is looking a bit more one-sided than the first race was, but Wily stages can still go either way, especially Buster only.
Yeah, we saw that in the last race, Wally Ford being very critical of that statement.
Yep, I think that was a screen that Kammesennin definitely wants back.
So we found a vanilla airman in his boss room, but are we still going to get a bro airman? And right now with these randomized air shooter placements, this air's no bro.
Yep, and also firing off quite a few volleys before jumping across, too.
Well, we had that one instance of a bro air with that one particular opening, but right now we got Charlieboy with the advantage. Kammesennin is just now starting his Heatman stage. Charlieboy halfway through Airman, about to find out his Airman fight just in a little bit. So we're gonna, in order to even this out, we're gonna be looking for Charlieboy to make the next error.
Skycrab could do it, but he wisely paused and waited for that one to come down.
Kammesennin probably a little bit happy with the enemy sets here. Even though we got Lacfabians, there are definitely much worse enemies that could be in here. But you gotta be a little careful. There we go. Don't want a small fraud to snipe him while he was jumping.
Almost took that one to the back of the head.
Charlieboy fighting Airman. Had a bit of a bro air start.
Yep, playing a little bit nice. There he goes.
Yeah, a couple of a much better RNG pattern for Charlieboy compared to Kammesennin. And right now, Charlieboy's now the first one to head into the greatest eyebrows in video gaming. So once again, we got this little thing we like to do. You know what to do, chat. We got a Mega Dragon. We got a color. We got a weakness. Your objective is...
After my resounding success last seed, I defer to you. After you, Reed.
Alright, so let's see. we're gonna have ourselves. Let's see if we can have ourselves a green dragon. And we're gonna be a little bit kind to our runner. Since this is Buster only, we're gonna see if we're gonna have ourselves a Buster weakness.
It was Buster Weak last time, wasn't it? Or no, it was air they found.
Yeah, they found air. It wasn't Buster weak.
Alright, I think this one's going to be red and ice or orange and weak to bubble. Kammesennin coming up on Crash Man and Heat Man stage. Oh, he's firing fast crash bombs. Fortunately, very far between.
Got myself a little bit engrossed in chat for a little bit. But yeah, we got Charlieboy coming up to one of the more dangerous areas in Wally 1. And we're going to see if we got some kind enemies on this ladder screen. Pretty kind.
A couple of bats. Could get you.
Nah, they probably can get you, but they'll fly off the screen eventually. There are much worse enemies that they could find.
Yeah, Charlieboy fortunately only taking one shot from them. Kammesennin just deployed the eyebrows to make his way up Wily 1.
So that looks teal.
Yeah, that's like a from blue to green situation happening here. Very, very ocean colors. I'm quite soothed by this. Charlieboy finding a couple of weapons that don't work and catching some fireballs for his trouble. And no E-tank, so he's got to be careful here. Finds bubble.
Look like Frico is smiling very proudly from this one. Should be safe to say that Buster again was not the weakness for this dragon.
A good high arcing bubble too, so that was quite fortunate for Charlieboy. Very close fight there.
Kammesennin once again using item 1 to climb up the first area of Wally 1. Kind of uncharacteristic. Once again, uncharacteristic. You'll probably think item 3 would be a little more beneficial, but who's to say? As long as you're able to get up that ladder.
It's kind of like always checking Leaf Shield on Pico Pico, I imagine, because if you get favorable enemies here, you can make it all the way up that climb without changing from item 1, and that saves you menuing time.
Well, regardless, we've seen Charlieboy going to the throes of Wally 2. Once again, due to Buster only rules, in which he does take a pot shot, and we heard the tink, is the walls are definitely not Buster weak, but as long as it's not Buster weak, you cannot grab those items, so you're forced to skip them.
Charlieboy making his way through the Jeffries tube over to the item 3 climb.
Charlieboy a few screens away from his Pico fight. Kammesennin's about to begin his dragon fight, about to get the bad news that Buster is not the weakness here.
Oh, and try supercharged heat now. I missed that the first time around with Charlieboy.
Wood is not it on that side. He finds Bubble. Charlieboy finds that Buster is not the weakness this time. Leaf Shield is a weakness, but it's not a one-shot, so it's not a god weakness. He's still digging for weaknesses. He's going to page 2.
Yep, I'd probably do the same thing. 2 shots of Leaf Shield is pretty inefficient in terms of energy.
So we find that Crash is a weakness, but it's not necessarily one shot. It looks like it's going to be 1-to-1 for Crash. If I had to make a guess, it looks like Charge Heat might be the third weakness here. So not a very good weapon weakness set for Pico.
Yep, pretty rough. Charlieboy doing well to try to manipulate them to come into the exploding crash bomb from the previous one. Gets one almost there.
And it looks like it's the kind of crash that actually is able to be spammed. So one of the things about the crash bomber is that normally if you fire one crash bomb, you cannot fire another one until the explosion duration ends. One of the traits of the randomizer for a crash bomber is that you can have instances where you can continuously shoot crash bombs whether it's out or not. But as a caveat, the crash bomb that's on the wall or is already out disappears. Charlieboy using that to his advantage in the Pico fight.
which you have to be careful with because that also applies to crash bombs in flight. So if you spam it before they hit the target, then you just lose the weapon energy for no gain.
So we got Charlieboy going to Wally 3, a very tame set before the spike drop. So we got Kammesennin about to go to his Pico fight. Unfortunately, once again, getting the bad news that it's not Buster Weak and he's got to dig for some weaknesses.
Charlieboy taking the time on the descent in this level, by the way, to refill some weapon energy, which is a wise decision, I'd say. Oh, there you are with the heat.
He definitely one-shot, but once again, it's about weapon conservation. It looks like kind of hard to tell between Crash and Heat, which is the primary weakness. I'll probably give it to Heat because it one-shots, but it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, it almost comes down to what's the alien going to be weak against, because either way they're spending just about all their weapon energy on the fight.
Meanwhile, Charlieboy digging for weaknesses, finding Heat on his end. So Kammesennin with Heat low on his end, he might have to find for another weakness since it's not a Buster Weak Guts tank.
Yeah, if Kammesennin gets unlucky here, this could go south pretty tragically. Wisely refilling a weapon here.
Charlieboy starting the stage that caused the most havoc in this run in match 1. Wally 4, we're going to see how the fake platforms are going to cause some issues this time around. Maybe it could be a little more beneficial, maybe it's not. We're going to see what's going to happen in a few moments as Charlieboy makes his ascent towards those areas.
Looks like a Gear Clown coming down for the enemy here, so that shouldn't bother him too much, assuming he takes a plunge here.
Alright, so the first 2 floors of that room were the fake ones, so an easy pause buffer to get over both of them. But this is where things get interesting. Will Charlieboy make it safely over?
Yep, looks like one and done. Well done.
So with that, Charlieboy already improved his run from match 1 in this stage. Kammesennin is going to have to do just as well in order to keep pace, because he's now at the Guts tank and falling quite a bit behind.
And I don't recall whether he refilled Heat, so this could be a bit of a dig. Still have to find another one.
Y'all gonna have to dig for another weakness. He did fill Heat for a little bit. Ooh, Leaf Shield, that's the other weakness. It's kind of
She's also low on.
But Leaf Shield's a bit of a give and take on that one. Leaf Shield I probably would have been better off using, only because depending on the Leaf Shield that you got, you can actually use the Leaf Shield multiple times without wasting any energy. Unfortunately, Charlieboy is about to have himself a little bit of an energy crisis.
And an E-Tank crisis. He used a safety sludge to survive until this elevator came back down, and we'll see whether that pays off for him. It looks like he might have just, burned it to no gain.
Yeah, he was hoping to just stall just for a little bit of time for that one prop top to get off the screen, for another one to appear, and from there just try to get the moving platform on the rebound, but yeah, this is a really rough set, Buster only.
Yep, and then he miscalculated his iframes on the second attempt, so this is going to get pretty rough for Charlieboy. Kammesennin making it across the spikes okay, it looks like.
So now it's up to Kammesennin to use his Buster experience to try to catch up to Charlieboy. We're going to see how Kame is able to take down or go by these prop tops. If Kammesennin is able to handle this better than Charlieboy, we could see ourselves a swing in the lead.
Kammesennin hovering across, that was pretty close. I thought he did the same thing Charlie did and miscalculated his iframes to walk across.
Charlieboy able to stay on the platform this time, and is able to get through a few pause buffers, and he's through. Let's see if Kame can handle himself accordingly.
Yeah, Kammesennin made up some time there, so Charlieboy had to take the riskier play.
He mistimed the prop top reveal, and he takes the death to the spikes.
Given all that time back, man, that's hard to watch. Okay, this is still going to be really close at the end, though, I think.
We'll see. Charlie Boy's gonna have to do some digging for weaknesses for the booby. Well, no need to check for weaknesses anymore. We find metal for it.
Yeah, looks like we might have to get that official ruling again on checking Buster first. Oh, maybe here he goes back checking it. I call it close enough.
So Charlie Boy yet again with a pretty significant advantage going into Wally 5 in the refights. Kammesennin having much better time on his second go through in that particular anxiety room. He's on his way to his booby fight in just a moment. Meanwhile, we got Charlie Boy once again right in the refights, keeping his advantage, and right now he's pretty much on the he's on the road to victory here, as long as nothing significantly crazy happens.
Yeah, it looks like this might be Charlie Boy's speed to lose here. Depending on how Kammesennin handles the boo beams, he could lose a lot of time compared to Charlie Boy's approach. Especially as he stands here and has to farm energy just in case.
I believe he was realizing he was. Oh, he wanted the health refill. I thought he probably wanted the item 1 refill. So we got Kame digging for wall weaknesses first.
Yep, I can imagine his consternation when he finds out that the turrets themselves are metal weak.
Once again, thanks to the Buster only rules, Charlie Boy's gotta suffer through this very excruciatingly long heat fight. Meanwhile, Kammesennin is just stuck on page 1, so he's unfortunately losing even more time. Not checking to see if even one of the god weaknesses was available at the start, which, to his dismay, he finds out at the very last moment.
Yep, that makes a significant time loss for Kammesennin on that fight relative to Charlie Boy.
So Charlie Boy is on his 7th Robot Master in the refights. Kammesennin starting his first Robot Master in the refights, quite a ways behind, but we still got a few variables. We still got the Wild Machine, but of course we kind of suspect that the Wild Machine shouldn't be a variable if history teaches us.
Yeah, statistically speaking, that may fall in Charlie Boy's favor. On the other hand, Charlie Boy is picking up all these health refills because he's out of E-tanks. I don't recall whether Kammesennin still has any left.
Airman not being a brawn Charlie Boy is in, giving him a pattern that he could not dodge, and he's forced to take that death. But it's going to take a little more than that to wedge the gap in between him and Kammesennin.
Yep, and I can only figure that either Kammesennin's either down to his last E-tank or he's got none left, as he's also picking up health refills in the refights, so no chance to pick up time there.
Alright, so the moment of truth. Are we still going to see a Buster Week Wally Machine?
Yeah, it looks like that may well seal it for Charlie Boy.
I have no comment. The odds of a Wally boss being Buster Week is supposed to be around a specific percentage, but when you see stuff for the Wally Machine, it's almost like somewhere upwards to about 85%.
Yep, that is one of the more favorable 50-50s I've ever seen. Charlie Boy now into Victory Road.
So yeah, barring like the end of his console just happening on Charlie Boy's screen, this is gonna be basically Charlie Boy's match.
Yep, there might be an outside chance that he's out of the weapon energy he needs, but I haven't noticed his refills well enough to know that for sure. He might just be good to go.
Alright, so on Charlie Boy's end, we do not have a Buster Week alien, so we're digging for the weapons. He's sticking to page 1, and right now we're not having anything on page 1. And we find Quick Boomerang, the very last thing on page 1. So the very literally quick fight on Charlieboy is in, and that is victory for Charlieboy as he wins this match and the entire race 2-0 over Kammesennin.
Very well
solid
done.
performance on Charlieboy's side.
I jumped for a second when he jumped through the alien. I didn't realize he was on iframes.
Official SRL time of 34:43 for Charlieboy on that venture. Meanwhile, we got Kammesennin finish off the Wild Machine, about to do his alien fight in just a few screens, where he's gonna have to dig for that quick boomerang weakness.
Yep, going right here, not picking up the energy refills, the more time economical way to do it. And of course, I don't think a quick boomerang has come up on any other Wily bosses, so he should be just fine here.
Alright, so let's see it. Kammesennin about to deal the final blows to our final boss, the alien. Once again, getting the unfortunate news that it's not Buster Week, and now we're doing the page 1 dive. Look like going from top to bottom, so quick boomerang is probably going to be the very last thing that he's going to be seeing on this particular stretch.
Yep, good marksmanship with the other weapons up to that point. Gets there fairly quickly.
And with the quick boomerang finish, we have Kammesennin officially finishing with an official SRL time of 36 minutes and 24 seconds. GG's to both our runners. We're going to see if we can get our boys in for a quick interview.
I haven't heard a proximity alarm yet.
Give it a quick moment for our guys to show up. But in the meanwhile, it's a very good effort between both our runners. Buster only in this randomizer is just something that can be really crazy to think about. Is that right, Kame, who has joined us on the Discord? How you feeling after these interesting races?
That is definitely a way to describe them. Oh man.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just get the obvious situation that pretty much walled you the big time. First seed, Wally Ford, trying to find out the positioning for that one fake floor in those better spikes. Go tell us what was going through your mind.
Clearly nothing. Just I don't know what else to say. Clearly nothing went through my mind. I got there and I'm like, all right, this is really easy. Wait, which tiles do I jump on? These ones. Boop, boop, dead. Oh man, and I got there again and I was like, wait a minute, which one did I just try? I don't remember. Boop, boop, dead. It was just a constant problem of, oh my god, I wish I could remember what I did or what I'm supposed to do.
And as we welcome in Charlieboy, you're pretty sure you heard what Kame was complaining about, because you kind of dealt with a similar situation that Wally for those better spies trying to find that one fake floor in Wally 4. What was going through your head when you were going through it?
Let's see. Well, okay, so the first game. So as soon as the countdown started, all of a sudden, like on my NES, because I play on real hardware, the graphics had like corruption. So I had like lines down my screen the whole time on the first match, and I was hoping it would like fix itself, but it didn't. But since like for Wily 4 in particular, there's like a diagram in the rando that shows you like here's where the edges are of the false floor. So as long as you know these lineups, you're good, right? Like as long as you remember the lineups, you can like hop in between them And yeah, with that graphic corruption right there, it definitely threw me off, and I didn't know either, and I ended up jumping in there twice because whenever I was coming in, and like I heard you just say, you know, I forgot too. I didn't know which. Like, I think I just jumped here, but maybe it's a little over to the left, or maybe a little over the right. I don't know.
That's amazing, man. We both we both demonstrated very clearly what not to do on that screen, and if you don't do what we did, it is free, completely, 100% every single time, regardless of randomization.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so with this, Charlieboy, you actually outbusted one of the Buster Masters, and is gonna be moving on their tournament. How does it feel taking two straight from Kame on his playing field?
Man, well, you know, I mean, Kame has about 22 other games that he can outbuster me in, so I'm gonna take this. No, 20, 22.
Wait, what's the other one other than 2?
3.
Oh, 3. Oh, I'm sorry.
I've done 2 and 3. I've done 2 and 3 Buster only. I mean, you could probably outbust me in 3 and 2 altogether. Don't get me wrong. you okay? Never mind. Let me rephrase. Let me start from scratch. Here we. All right. So Kami's got 24 games that he can outbuster me in. So I'm gonna take this victory. Like, yes, awesome. I mean, hey, it's cool. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just to the luck of the draw, and I mean, how quickly I was willing to bend the rules, I guess. Like, for instance, on Crash, I was like, oh, like speaking Buster only, these 2 seeds were like uncompletable Buster only. You had to bend the rules a little bit on, you know, on Crash or on Wily 1 for like frogs, for instance. I mean, I guess I could have tried the fancy pause buffer ladder on the frogs, right? Like climbing to the dragon. I could have tried similar to the Mega Man 3 D-boost in Doc Spark stage, right? Where you like have to bust around the spider or whatever, or like D-boost the spider and catch the ladder. Because yeah, but I in a tournament race, I don't know, and I don't know how, you know. So I did bend the rules a bit, but I think that was allowed, right?
I mean, yeah, there's sections where sometimes you just don't have a choice. So, you know, there were a couple of sections for me as well. The frog ladder on Wily 1, the one time, that definitely was. I wound up having to use Time Stopper to get up that ladder. And there was one of the Crash stages had shrimp. And, I almost got around them, but I couldn't quite get my jump up the ladder just right. And I was pretty stubborn about it, so I know I lost a ton of time there. I think I went for like 3 attempts at it, riding the platform all the way around, coming back to the ladder, jumping up, triggering the screen transition, hoping I make it. I just didn't quite pull it off though, and I was too stubborn about it. So it probably cost me about a minute or close.
Yeah, I totally just said, oh, well, I can't do this. All right, here we go. Let's search. So I went, I guess I should have did item 3, because there's an item 3D boost there that you can get back on the ladder and whatnot, not to kill the enemy. But yeah, instead I just found metal real quick, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, this kills them. So
that's a very good alternative. The item 3, that's very good to go for if you're able. But
right,
I mean, anything works. It's whatever. At that point, it's like you can't do it with Buster. Find something, get up there.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was fun overall. Practicing Buster only again. I got to practice yesterday, just pretty much yesterday. Maybe a little bit. One of the weeklies I tried to this past weekend. I pulled a Buster only run for one run to prepare, but that was before I was even knowing that I was going to face against Kame. I was like, well, I had to play Ren at that point, so I was like, well, I mean, there's still a chance that I don't even have to need this practice, you know. But yeah, it was a lot of fun nonetheless. Buster Only is a really fun category if you're looking for a challenge, for sure, like, because it is very challenging to stay with Buster, especially on some of the more meaty enemies sets sometimes, or even Buster Immune, you know, like, okay, but I mean, I guess it's also good practice for any percent. Like, so hey, don't rely on your weapons because menus are slow. You know, sometimes it's like, okay, well, I got to deboost and manage my health better, so that way I can go faster in both categories, right? Yeah, but no, GG's to Kame nonetheless. Big shout outs to Creed and Chungus for commentary and for tracking. Cool stuff. Thanks, guys.
Speaking of which, Chungus, do you have anything to say to our runners? A few questions that you have on your mind before we move on?
I think you pretty well covered it. I did pull up the bracket while we were talking, though, if you'd like a preview of things to come.
Yeah, go on ahead.
Alrighty, so with today's victory, Charlieboy is next up against Prodigy in the upper bracket. Charlieboy, how are you feeling about that matchup?
I mean, I think Frico was asking me this whenever I was fighting Ren. He's like, "Well, how do you feel against Kame? And if you do win that one, you have to fight Prodigy." And I was like, "Well, I'm not scared of Prodigy. I mean, he's awesome. He's a cool guy, and he's really good. And I'm not gonna say probably. I might lose. I might not. You never know. I mean, like I have taken races off of Prodigy in practice before, but then again, he does take the majority of races that we race each other, and he's not to be slept. He's definitely not to be slept on. Being our first year tournament winner, and but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go in with my head held high. I'm gonna come out with my head held high. I'm gonna give it my all per the norm. Hopefully, I have a good day whenever that comes up, and maybe we'll make it into winners finals because that's the match after that. So, but yeah, good stuff. I mean, I'm excited having to fight against or race against Prodigy once again, and looking forward to it.
Promises to be a great show. And we also have coming up it's next week, Sunday, Mega Kyle 83 versus Crab Cakes, also in the upper bracket.
That should definitely be a good one. And of course, on the bottom rung, in the bottom bracket, Kammesennin, you're going to be facing Casual Tom 82. I'm hearing a little birdie, especially in chat right now. Casual Tom is in chat right now. He's confirming a Buster only race. He's challenging you to a duel for that race.
Well, that's a pleasant surprise. I honestly had no idea who I even could be going up against. I hadn't looked at the bracket, but that's not only is that pretty cool to hear that it's going to be Tom, but I'm really glad to hear that he's challenging me to lemons, because now this time I might practice before my next match a little bit.
All right, so as you heard right here first, like I said, the only other match that is scheduled is that Crab Case versus Mega Cow 83 match. That's due this upcoming Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Of course, adjust your time accordingly, depending on your time zone. So with that, once again, gonna give shout outs to our runners. Please, if you feel free, of course, follow them. Of course, if you're interested in what we stuff on the talkie thing with the mics and all that stuff, what we do, you can choose to have interest in us. But of course, we're always more interested in the randomizer and the players that are behind them. So of course, GG's to Kammesennin and Charlieboy for a good race, SpeedGaming for allowing us to showcase this race, Duckfist for being the initial creator of the randomizer, of course 2% Chungus by co-commentator, and our Double Duty being our star tracker. How did it feel to be on the front booth for a change?
Scarier than racing, actually. But a lot of fun. I had a great time doing that with you, and I'd be happy to do it again.
Good to hear. It was a joy commentating with you. So I guess at this point, we can go ahead and shut this down. So for Speed Gaming, for 2% Chungus, this is LV Creed. Stay tuned for the next randomizer match on the various Speed Gaming channels. And until then, have yourselves a good day. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Good night, everybody.
GG's Kame. Take care, everybody. Peace out.